What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing my January haul for Blu-rays, 4Ks, DVDs, the works. Most of this I bought on the cheap. Some of it is new, some of it is kind of old, but they're all mostly done on the cheap or some way to find it cheap so that I can pay for all my movies because it's expensive. So let's dive into it. The very first thing I want to do right now is thank you guys for helping spread the word about this channel. We have broke past the 1K subscribers on this channel, which is a goal that I've had for quite a while. Just a goal that I wanted to set to beat, and you guys more than helped me. As it stands right now of recording this, we are at 1,009 subscribers, so we blew past the initial goal, and that is in large part thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for doing that. Congratulations! Yeah, guys, you rock. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. This is a passion thing for me. If you haven't already and you've been here before, like 90% of the people, or 85% I think it is, who stop by this channel have not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button now if you're looking forward to horror movies, reviews, discussions, all kinds of creative stuff that we're going to be doing on this channel, because you're going to want to stay tuned for it in the future. Thanks again, guys. You're the best. Now, some of these movies that I'm about to show you, I did try to watch. Someone in the comment section of the YouTube below suggested that I do sort of a snap fire, like, reviews of them. And at the time, I don't think I really understood what they meant. And what they meant is to try to watch them. Well, I'm pretty busy, but I've been trying to make a dent into the most recently watched videos and DVDs, Blu-rays, 4Ks, and everything, so that I can kind of attempt to do that for you. Instead of going, well, I don't know what this one's about, but so here we go. I'm going to go through it, kicking it off with a 4K, and that is Brightburn. Now, this came out some time ago, but we saw it at the store, and you know, it's actually a really good movie. It was in my top suggested of last year. And if you're a fan of like Superman, or maybe not even a fan of Superman and always wondered what it would be like for him to go evil and start murdering people like a serial killer, well, this is the movie for you. And honestly, it's actually pretty fucking good. I would love to see a sequel for this movie, and I hope that they do. I think we got it for $15, I think. Best Buy at the time, but these were running low for some reason, and I don't know why. This is one of those movies that we rarely get to see some sort of like odd mix-up of that, and I had to pick it up. So, and it looks glorious on 4K in HDR, by the way. And the extras in this were decent, by the way. They weren't great, like press junkets that they did. So up next, heavy metal, sex and crime and rock and roll. A lot of ands in there. If you've never seen heavy metal, this is a animated feature of a bunch of different heavy metal stories. Back in the day, we used to have this magazine, for those of you who are younger, that would showcase like some gory comic book style art that you would find, and they were themed around heavy metal, sort of like what people in the heavy metal scene would love. So you got a mix of fantasy, a mix of science fiction, a mix of like gore and just comedy. It's all in here, and there's so many fun little treats in this. You know, this kind of movie would not be able to be made in this day and age, but it is something that I grew up with. I cherish it. So I've never seen it in 1080p, so this is going to be a nice treat to have. I think I picked this one up for $3 at Best Buy, and they're like, get rid of these bin, so I picked it up. Also, we made a trip to one of the local Dollar Trees because they're always putting out new movies. For 2 weeks in a row, I think that the Dollar Tree had movies. We saw a couple that we hadn't gotten before, and then we wanted to give away for our giveaways that we do at longlivethevoid.com under the VIP club. If you haven't signed up, lets you know when we do a podcast every week and fills you in on some information, plus enters you in a giveaway. So you might want to sign up. Anyway, This is one of the dollar movies that we found. It's called A Haunting at Silver Falls. Don't really expect much from this kind of movie, but sometimes I get surprised by these dollar movies, and I'm like, well, it's watchable. It wasn't like a terrible waste of my time. Any of you guys seen it yet? Let me know. Up next, The Girl in the Photographs. Now, I remember this. I think it came out in like 2017, 2015. Movie that I don't remember if I saw or not. I remember it coming out, but I don't think I ever watched it. Feel like it's kind of like a thriller killer movie. Up next, in my never-ending quest to obtain all of David Lynch's movies, we have Blue Velvet, which I found at Best Buy for like $3 or $4 or something like that in their pile. They have some of these piles around their store sometimes that you can find either at the front or in the middle, sometimes near the movie section, sometimes not. You just kind of have to look around. But Blue Velvet, this is the 25th anniversary. Now, a lot of David Lynch's movies have not really made it to Blu-ray even for a long time. And I forget what the reason was and why it got held up, but Blue Velvet isn't one of my favorite movies, but for a lot of people, it really is the pinnacle of David Lynch. And for me, I'm always been a Wild at Heart / Lost Highway kind of guy, but you know, that's just me. This movie is good though. I haven't seen it in forever, and I figured why not pick it up. I haven't gotten a chance to sit down with it because my girlfriend is not very fond of these weird slow burn kind of movies, but sometimes she is, and maybe we'll watch this together.
Baby wants to fuck.
Up next, we got Train to Busan, which is just a classic now. This is a movie that nobody expected to be as good as it was supposed to be, but the way that the characters were told in this story, they were just so likable. Even the ones you didn't like, they just spent a long time on the character development in this movie, and you end up really caring for all the people that are in this. Well, not all the bad guys, but just the good ones in particular, and you end up rooting for them, and sometimes some of those people die, some don't. And there's some pretty cool stuff in this movie with zombies that I thought was different, you know, and it all takes place on a train. If you've never seen this, we picked this up at Best Buy for like $3, I think, bucks. And I think this is a steal for this movie. So I am super glad to get this and actually own it. So if you haven't, check it out. Up next, we got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And the real scary thing is that my camera is making this blurry for some reason. I tried everything to try to fix it, by the way, but I don't know. But it's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, 4K, Ultra HD, Blu-ray. Oh, it does have HDR. So this did look pretty good. So I was going to say, like, it must have been HDR. If you haven't seen Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, it's essentially based off the books. And Guillermo del Toro actually helped produce this movie with Andre Overdahl, who is the guy who did Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is a really underrated film, and one of my favorite films of, I believe, 2017. Very cool flick. He also did Troll Hunter as well, which was a pretty fun story, but I definitely will give it the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Does this beat the Autopsy of Jane Doe? No, but this is a fun movie. I really enjoyed some of the liberties that they took to do this film and put it together, because it's really hard to make this film based off of extremely short stories. I thought this was a pretty solid film. It was like an 8, I think I gave it. You can, if you want, you can look up our Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark podcast episode where we go into real detail about it. We traded in some stuff to get it, picked it up. Boom. Up next, we got Aftermath. Now, this is one of those dollar movies that I got at the Dollar Tree. I don't know. You know, I'm in the industrial scene, so of course I look at this and I go, oh, industrial, Aftermath. It's about the end of the world or something, right? I looked on the back and I'm like, oh my God, is this like zombies and stuff? So I thought that it was a zombie film. So I popped it in just to kind of give it a whirl. It turned out to be a little below average film with Edward Furlong in it, which he's not terrible in the film, but let's just say he's not great. It ain't no Terminator 2, so. But yeah, I watched this film. I thought it was a decent dollar watch. I wouldn't mind watching this again sometime if I was in the mood for some sort of nuclear holocaust movie, because essentially what this movie is about, bombs go off, people scatter to go find refuge in basements and everything like that, and they run into some ragtag group of people and try to survive. This is super bleak, so if you're into that, might not be a bad watch, but I think I gave it like a 3 or a 4, like a 3.5, 4. Maybe you'll find it at one of your Dollar Trees or something like that. I'm sure it's probably up on one of the streaming services, but it was okay. Speaking of Edward Furlong and Terminator 2, bam! Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Let's just say probably one of the best sci-fi action films ever made. Regardless of what you think, I don't care. I'm just saying, this is a great movie. It really came together. I like the first one as well, but this one just had so much to offer, and it did so many new things in the movie when it came out. I have yet to rewatch this, but I've seen it a million times, and it is always good. Had to pick it up on 4K. This does have HDR. You will get that high dynamic range. I did not get to check out the features and everything like that, but it comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray and a digital, so can't go wrong. I don't even have a 4K player yet, but I've been using the digital codes to watch stuff and just popping in the Blu-rays, but I'm preparing.
Get down.
Up next, Mars Attacks. Now, we just went out to Vegas for a trip, for a vacation, and Christina and I talked about it somewhat in this week's episode. We went to see the Tim Burton exhibit at the Neon Graveyard exhibit, where he has a lot of his artwork and stuff at right now in Vegas. We just got in the spirit to watch Mars Attacks. They had these like life-size creatures in the fucking thing, so really fun movie to rewatch. And I think it's a little better than I gave it credit the first time I watched it, because I don't know, it's just such a weird film, and only Tim Burton could have made this, because you just don't see stuff like that. It's just silly. So if you haven't seen this, you should check it out. Up next, we got Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Buy the ticket, take the ride. No sympathy for the devil, my friend, because Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is one of those movies that is just fucking bananas. It's probably one of the best drug movies that you could ever watch, but, obviously based off of the original Hunter S. Thompson book. Probably one of the better adaptations that you could do with it. I was always kind of interested in Where the Buffalo Roam, which is another Hunter S. Thompson book, and they made a live action version or adaptation of that book with Bill Murray as Hunter S. Thompson. But Johnny Depp did really good. This is the movie that essentially he could not break from character of being Hunter S. Thompson. He lived with the guy to try to soak in his mannerisms and everything that he did, to try to make sure it was authentic and everything that they did in this movie. And obviously this is directed by Terry Gilliam, who, if you don't know, worked on Monty Python, doing all the little pictures and things that moved around, plus also some direction and everything. But I've always liked this movie, and I had to pick it up. Just got a hankering for it. Trippy as fuck, too.
Throw this thing into the tub when White Rabbit peeks. Is that it? Why? God damn it, you're wasting my time!
Up next, bam! We got Raising Arizona. I live in Arizona, and I still love this movie. Even though there's some fallacy with the movie and parts of Arizona that I've known and visited before that did not look like this and still do not look like this. But yeah, this is obviously one of the Coen brothers' big films. Raising Arizona is fucking hilarious. It's Nicolas Cage, been on a fucking cage rager for a while now, watching Color Out of Space and like picking up all this stuff, just kind of re-embracing the Cage, because he is something else. And man, his style has really changed over the years. But this is essentially about a family, well, I should say an ex-convict and a police officer who fall in love, can't have a baby, so they steal one from somebody who has like 5. And they're like, well, they have more than they can handle, so let's go steal a baby. And the whole story is just fucking bananas. Fun soundtrack for it, something you wouldn't hear somewhere else. It's kind of art house film in a way too, which is odd, but it's super interesting. So it's not going to be boring to you. But if you haven't seen this, you should definitely check it out. One of my favorite movies that he's done, at least.
Son, you got a panty on your head. You drive fast, eh?
Up next, The Fourth Kind, La Quatreme Type. I don't know how to say it, really. I'm just kind of going with it. Apparently, this is a Canadian... yeah, it says Canadian home video on it. So it's got the, like, rating system in Canada on the back. But I picked this up for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And I actually don't hate this movie. A lot of people did, though. It's really weird, okay? First of all, I understand most people don't like found footage films. They're really against that kind of thing. If you're not into that, I probably wouldn't watch it. But this is really different because it's about this supposedly true story in Alaska where they had this encounter. At the time, people were really pissed off to find out that it wasn't. and I watched it like with amazement because part of this movie, yeah, they're doing found footage-y style stuff, but they're also shooting it like a regular movie and then filling in with like tapes that they have so that it makes like a cohesive story. But it's almost like people are getting possessed by aliens. And for that reason alone, I actually really like this film, even if it's not true. Because like I feel like some people get really upset when they feel that they can't be tricked by something, and it's like, I just want to go for the ride, man. Like if it convinces me that it's real for a day, dude, that's like a win-win scenario. This is a good film if you're into alien abduction kind of things and you also like possession kind of movies because it has a little bit of both. This is probably one of the last movies that Milla Jovovich actually did before just giving her life to Resident Evil. So, this was in between anyway, but yeah, I actually think you should check this out. It's worth it, especially if you can find it for $1. Holy shit. Last but not least, guys, we got Don't Kill It. Now, I've had this in my collections before, probably for the Dollar Store Tree hauls that I've had in the past. If you've never seen those, I usually try to do them as soon as they come out in my area. You know, it's different across the country, so like you may have it one week and I don't, or vice versa. But anyway, this is a Dolph Lundgren film, which, you know, he's kind of made a re-emergence recently. It's actually not a bad indie film. It's about a guy who's like hunting demons. You can't kill them. If you do, then bad shit happens. I don't want to spoil it for you. But, you know, if you can tolerate indie films and you have kind of a thing for Dolph Lundgren, that's probably the best married combination you can find. Plus, it's got demons in it. So I know some of you guys that follow me are big Demons fans because I am. Check it out. If you can find it at your store, I've seen that they have like Blu-ray copies even, which I wish I could have gotten. And if I do find one at one of the stores at some point in time, I'll be trading this out and probably just giving it away. And that's pretty much it for this month. You know, a lot of that stuff I found, you know, pretty cheap. I try to buy as cheap as I can unless my fucking, you know, horror fandom just gets out of control. Trying to give you guys more content so that you have more stuff to watch. But other than that, thank you so much. And as always, long live the void.